It is fair to say that we had a very good and constructive meeting. We are not in any way daunted by the challenges, but we are approaching them with a calm confidence and a recognition that unity more than ever will be required from us to meet the common challenges that the world has presented, from the changing geopolitical environment to the climate crisis, to the international economic shocks that are potentially still there, to the consequences of the climate crisis with respect to the production of food, or the consequences of diseases such as bird flu.
The Caribbean is at a turning point. In this video, we break down the biggest takeaways from the 48th Caribbean Community CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Barbados, where regional leaders tackled urgent issues like climate change, Haiti's security crisis, the Caribbean's economic resilience, and digital transformation of the region. With $363 million approved for climate initiatives, a proposed UN-backed security force for Haiti, and a historic decision on free movement within CARICOM, this meeting could redefine the region's future. Stay tuned as we unpack the game-changing policies, global partnerships, and what these agreements mean for Caribbean citizens and businesses moving forward. Let's get into it. This CARICOM Heads of Government conference in Barbados brought together not only leaders from across the region, but also leaders from around the world to discuss the pressing challenges and chart a course for collective progress for the Caribbean. Under the theme, Strength in Unity, Forging Caribbean Resilience, Inclusive Growth and Sustainable Development, the meeting focused on critical issues facing the Caribbean nations, from climate change and economic resilience to regional security and technological advancement. This high-level gathering saw the attendance of leaders and representatives from more than 30 countries, in addition to a host of private sector and civil society leaders. As the Caribbean grapples with the impacts of climate change, economic uncertainties, and security concerns, the meeting served as a crucial platform for leaders to collaborate on strategies that promote resilience, foster inclusive growth, and drive sustainable development across the region. Climate change and environmental resilience. Climate change and environmental resilience took center stage as leaders stressed the urgent need to address the escalating climate crisis. Prime Minister of Grenada and outgoing Chair Honorable Dickon Mitchell noted that following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, Grenada had rebounded more determined to advocate on climate issues.
If there is one single response that demonstrates the theme that we are looking at, strength in unity, forging Caribbean resilience, it is CARICOM's response to the passage of Hurricane Beryl over Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and other islands in the Northern Caribbean of Jamaica. It is that unified response that gave the people of Grenada, CARICOM, and Petit Martinique the resilience that has allowed them over the last several months to rebound, and to rebound stronger, better, and more determined to confront the existential threat of climate change.
Reiterating the need for $1.3 trillion in climate financing from SIDS, Caribbean leaders secured a series of agreements and support on climate change. The Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, CAF, stated that there is $363 million in approvals for projects in climate resilience, infrastructure, and green energy. The UN Secretary General in attendance also gave his support for this fight for climate justice, extending his commitment to climate financing, advocacy for climate justice, and support for the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index, MVI. But primarily, this conference's climate focus was in preparations for COP30 to be held in November of this year. Member states used the opportunity to align their national policies to advance new climate action plans and strengthen their collective voice in global negotiations. Details discussed are efforts to operationalize the Loss and Damage Fund and implement fair financial mechanisms to address the unique vulnerabilities of small island developing states, SIDS.
When the fund was created, the pledges made are equivalent to the new contract for just one baseball player in New York City. Let's be clear, the Loss and Damage Fund must be a serious thing.
CARICOM security and what to do in Haiti. Following climate change, regional security concerns, particularly the ongoing crisis in Haiti, dominated discussions at the 48th regular meeting of CARICOM heads of government. Leaders such as Dr. Kenny Anthony, former Prime Minister of St. Lucia and coordinator of the CARICOM-appointed Eminent Persons Group, EPG, emphasized the need for urgent action in Haiti, especially in light of the anticipated holding of general elections. The need for a more effective international security rescue plan for Haiti was agreed upon by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres as he announced plans to present a proposal for a major security force in Haiti to the UN Security Council. The proposal is similar to one presented for Somalia, in which the UN assumes the responsibility for the structural and logistical expenditures that are necessary to put the force in place, and the salaries of the force are paid through the trust fund that already exists. This proposal, if accepted by the UN Security Council, aims to create conditions for democracy to thrive in the country. Another central point made on security came concerning guns and their growing prevalence in crimes throughout the Caribbean. CARICOM leaders have agreed to classify certain criminal acts involving guns as acts of terrorism, as stated by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago, a country battling its own challenges with crime, with Trinidad and Tobago currently in a state of emergency.
We also expect that these acts, using the tools of trade of the criminals at large in our communities, from Bahamas to Suriname, St. Lucia to Trinidad and Tobago, that they be deemed to be acts of terrorism and allow us to view them not only by the executive, but by our judiciary, and allow us to fashion the appropriate legislation to deal with that.
Joined by Prime Minister of Jamaica Andrew Holness, he stated that many of these crimes committed were from illegal guns, and CARICOM leaders need to address the flow of illegal guns into the Caribbean from its northern neighbor, the United States.
But we also see gangs acting in ways and committing acts that can only be described as acts of terror. And therefore, I have called in Jamaica, and I'm making the call now at this CARICOM platform, that there needs to be a global war on gangs in the same way that there is a global war on terror. If the gangs are allowed free rein, they will challenge the effectiveness and undermine states, which we are seeing happening not just in the region in CARICOM, but in the wider Central and South America region.
Financing, economic development, and sustainability. Like many topics in international diplomacy and politics, much discussion was placed on financing, economic development, and sustainability. Continuing the message of inclusive growth and sustainable development, CARICOM Chair Mia Motley of Barbados recognized the need to build economic resilience and the priority to advance the CARICOM single market and economy. One big agreement came concerning the free movement of people, as member states agreed that all parties will ratify the Protocol on Enhanced Cooperation and committed to fully move ahead with free movement by June 1st of this year.
And arise to the point where we will bring to our people a level of economic development, stability, and prosperity, in spite of the fact that for 6 months of the year we live in fear of that climate crisis, in spite of the fact that we are subject to international economic shocks, in spite of the fact that all of these things continue to be devilish. And why? Because we come from a proud people who have known what it is to be resilient and to rise above all challenges. Indeed, the challenges that we face in the 21st century at a personal level cannot come close to what our ancestors were forced to confront in the settlement of this modern region.
Support for reforms to the international financial architecture also took the floor as the Bridgetown Initiative 3.0, championed by Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley, took center stage in discussions. This initiative advocates for comprehensive reforms to the global financial system, including measures such as debt pause clauses, increased climate finance, and new funding mechanisms to support developing countries in achieving the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Additionally, discussions took place about the unfolding trade wars expected out of the United States and between regional allies such as Europe and China. Key to this concern was disruption to international trade by potential tariffs, especially given the Caribbean's high import dependency. CARICOM heads decided to review the bloc's trade policies with the United States and other trade partners to assess the impact of global economic tensions on the Caribbean, with the hopes of buttressing some of the expected turmoil by regional interdependency. On a more positive note, the 48th regular meeting of the CARICOM leaders saw a host of financial agreements and development projects signed. Prime Minister Philip Davis of the Bahamas signed a $200 million framework agreement with the African Export-Import Bank focused on developing climate-resilient and trade-enhancing infrastructure in the Bahamas, including vital projects in road construction, energy development, and other essential economic infrastructure. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Developing technological advancements and building digital resilience. The heads of government discussed many other topics of importance to the region, acknowledging the need to stay agile in a dynamic world. Developing technological advancements and building digital resilience were key points mentioned as Commonwealth Secretariat provided support on artificial intelligence applications, with a focus on leveraging AI in sectors like healthcare to give the region a competitive advantage. Leaders also explored opportunities to enhance the region's technological capabilities, as exemplified by Guyana's Digital School Initiative and the commitment to review the telecommunications environment in the region, to be led by Dickon Mitchell, the Prime Minister of Grenada. Food security was another topic discussed at this year's meeting, where leaders stressed concern about food availability and affordability, particularly in light of the Caribbean's high dependence on food imports. This led to the Vision 25 by 2025 initiative, which aims to reduce the region's food import bill by 25% by 2025. Core to this are strategies to enhance agricultural productivity and reduce food imports, including removing barriers to market access for the agricultural sector, developing support for production corridors, implementing climate-smart agricultural practices, and prioritizing focus on commodities such as poultry, rice, fruits, and root crops. At a conference such as this, with leaders and representatives from the whole region attending, external relations and diplomacy take a main stage as CARICOM leaders engaged with several international partners during the meeting. As previously mentioned, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres attended, emphasizing the need for a unified Caribbean in addressing what he calls the region's triple priorities of climate change, security, and finance. Also in attendance was the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, on the first ever visit of a President of the European Commission to the Caribbean.
And this is why we're launching together a package for local farmer production in the Caribbean, global gateway and private investments. It includes a regulatory cooperation. It includes more cooperation between our university for research, but also for skilling people.
At the invitation of Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, President von der Leyen met the community to further strengthen the EU's presence in the region and prepare the EU CELAC summit planned for this year. The EU committed to several initiatives across the region, such as a support package of €19.5 million to complement ongoing efforts in Haiti, a €160 million green hydrogen storage project by French company HDF Energy, the first project of its kind in the Caribbean, and even EU investments of €8.9 million to promote local pharmaceutical manufacturing and regulatory alignment with European standards. A future yet to be determined. While the 48th meeting of the CARICOM heads of government thus far concluded as a success, the region still faces a complex array of challenges. Despite projections of steady GDP growth, the region grapples with high public debt levels, averaging 67.9% of GDP, which constrains investment in critical areas such as education, healthcare, infrastructure, and overall economic stability. Climate vulnerability also remains a pressing concern, with Caribbean nations particularly susceptible to climate-related shocks that could disrupt economies and strain fiscal policies. Mentioned also is the region's food security, where many countries still heavily rely on imports for up to 80% of their food supply. Rising crime rates also are affecting the quality of life for many in the region, as crime has not abated despite best efforts by regional leaders to increase penalties and crack down on guns. Ultimately, the global economic uncertainties, particularly as it relates to major economies like China and the United States, put the Caribbean in a challenging position of having to not only balance the relationship between the two, but also navigate the potential waves caused by a mercurial President Trump. While these multifaceted challenges benefit from the continued regional discussions and agreements to build resilience, ultimately, it is the actions taken after this prestigious meeting that will guide how the region will survive the years ahead. The 48th regular meeting of CARICOM heads of government concluded with significant outcomes, emphasizing how unity and strategic planning can be used to address shared challenges. Many landmark agreements were put forward, such as the freedom of movement of CARICOM nations' peacekeeping plan for Haiti, and financial commitments were received from institutions such as the Caribbean Development Bank, the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, the European Union, Canada, and even Saudi Arabia. Nevertheless, the challenge of implementing these agreements and following up on inaction is where priorities now shift. Moving forward, the region must focus on implementing these strategies, including developing new climate action plans, operationalizing support for Haiti, and enhancing food security, to name a few. Continued collaboration and follow-up will be crucial to ensure progress. The 48th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting has set the stage for a stronger, more united Caribbean. The region is boldly moving towards a future of opportunity and progress. Yes, challenges remain, but with collaboration, innovation, and unwavering determination, the Caribbean can rise above them. Now, it's up to all of us, leaders, communities, and individuals, to turn these plans into reality. The future is ours to shape. Let's build it together. What do you think about the decisions made at the 40th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting? Will the new agreements on free movement, climate financing, and regional security truly benefit the Caribbean? And what are your thoughts on CARICOM's plan to address the Haiti crisis? Drop your opinions in the comments below, and let's have a conversation about the future of the region. Check out this video on how CARICOM benefits the Caribbean community and its citizens. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on everything happening in the Caribbean, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on the region's biggest stories. Drop a comment below and join the conversation. This is Caribbean Focus. See you in the next video.